What's going on, everybody? TRAE4PAY back in the building, coming at you guys with day 4 of the Darrell Brooks trial. Now, the final part for day 3 went up yesterday. I'm not sure when I upload this one, but you guys have cleared up a bunch of stuff in the comments. So if I was saying that Darrell was getting slightly more comfortable with setting up his questions for the witnesses, only to find out he didn't actually come up with these questions. So the attorneys or the public defenders or whatever they were he had, they actually came up with these questions, and he's using their questions like the vulture he is. And all of those boxes that he has beside him are apparently papers that they compiled for his case. So he used them just enough to get all those resources from them, and then he told them to get out of here. So I retract everything I said with that. I don't know why I didn't catch on to that. There was some kind of assessment that they did on his mental state. I do remember them bringing that up. That is the reason why he is not able to plead insane, or he can't, use that as an excuse. I do remember Judge Jennifer mentioning that very early on. I think it might have been on day 1. So I just wanted to clear those things up. Now, you guys are still updating me about stuff. Those are just the first few comments that I caught. But without further ado, let's get into day 4.
Everyone, court will call State of Wisconsin versus Darrell E. Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. May I have the appearances, please?
Yes, good morning, Judge Sue Apple, Leslie Basie, and Zach Witchow appearing for the State of Wisconsin.
Good morning, sir. Please state your name for the record.
I'm here as a third-party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value and return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in these charging instruments, and I do not consent to or agree to being called that man, Your Honor.
All right, the record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell Brooks is appearing in person in custody. He is also in civilian or street.
I'm sorry. He just said all that just for her to say, all right, so the man before me known as Darrell Brooks.
Clothing in a suit and tie.
I don't
also
consent to that
wearing a
name.
mask. Mr. Brooks, I know today you're also not wearing headsets. I just want to make a record. Yesterday, they were offered to you, even charged. The different charging unit was provided. I did not see you wearing the headset at any point in time. And from my perspective, given your either legal arguments made, comments to the court, or questioning of witnesses that you were able to hear, but I just feel it important, given that you raised that issue, to put that on the record. I do want to address the case law that was filed by Mr. Brooks. I have a question, sir, because you had indicated there was this United States v. Lopez. I had looked up a case. I don't know if it's the one that you were referring to. I asked you if it was from 1995. You thought it was. Have you been able to look through your documents to tell me which United States versus Lopez you were referring?
I have not, but I also cited Hagens versus Levine as well, 415 U.S. 533, or I think you may have corrected
I was able
that.
to find Hagens versus Levine and Malo versus United States. I also found a case that is captioned United States versus Lopez at 514 U.S. 549. That's a case from, it was decided in 1995. It had to do with in part, with the
Jurisdiction?
No, it had to do with a provision in the federal statutes regarding the gun safe free zone and whether that was constitutional or not. It was a criminal case, but nonetheless, that was one of the major issues in that case. So I don't know if that's the case you were referring or not. And without a citation, it's hard for me to know. So that's why I'm asking you if you have any other information about that case.
I can possibly look on a break, but my understanding of that particular case was dealing with the specifics of subject matter and personal jurisdiction, which is why it was brought up for the record, which is something that I have been doing adamantly, is asking for the court to provide.
Man, I really, my hat's off to this judge. I'm not gonna take my hat off right now, but my hat's off to this judge though. Okay, for her to deal with this same topic so many times, this subject matter jurisdiction crap. I don't like. We're on day 4, and it feels like I've heard him say this or pull this out, like this topic out at least a dozen times at this point, you know. But once again, she is so thorough and patient with this dude to make sure every box is checked and everything is covered, that she's answering all his questions, even though he's raising the same arguments, that she gives him a reason why she's not gonna, why she's not gonna entertain what he's saying, but he's still bringing it back up.
Verified proof of jurisdiction, which I have not been provided with as of yet.
Court's not required to do that, sir. I understand what your objection is. It's been noted for the record multiple times. And the previous rulings of the court stand. I see no reason to revisit those issues, or what we call legally a motion for reconsideration, even if I were to take your reference to these cases as a request to reconsider based on a new legal argument. The cases that I reviewed don't support that. I do want to give the state an opportunity to at least make a record as to their position, and then I'll give you the last word if you want to make a legal argument to the contrary.
I do.
All right, so go ahead. I believe Attorney Basie, you were going to do that.
I was. Your Honor, I did review the U.S. versus Lopez, the Lopez case that you cited at 514 U.S. 549. As the court already indicated, it deals with the Gun-Free School Zone Act, which is a federal offense. The court found that that Congress exceeded its authority under the Commerce Clause, and therefore there was no jurisdiction. I don't find any analogy between that case and this case. Again, I'm not sure if that is the Lopez case that the defendant was referring to. With regard to Melo versus United States, this was a case involving an accident that the plaintiff had with an employee of the U.S. Postal Service who was driving a U.S. postal truck, and the issue became whether or not there was a valid claim against the U.S. Postal Service as a result of a claim filed against the employee, and the court held that there was not, and therefore jurisdiction was not conferred to the United States. Again, not a case that is on point with any issue that's been raised in this case. And finally, Hagens versus Levine at 415 U.S. 533. Again, this is one in which the district court was found to have had jurisdiction to hear the plaintiff's claim. It was a case in which a New York, state of New York regulation addressed New York's ability to recoup some payments from AFDC, I believe, and there was a claim that violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The court did find that the district court did have jurisdiction to hear the plaintiff's claim. Again, I did not find any verbiage from any of these three cases that would raise any type of argument in this case that this court does not have jurisdiction to hear this case.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, your response.
Yeah, I respectfully object to that. It's clear in both of those cases that ultimately those cases were called correct by the Supreme Court, in that both cases ended up being voided because there was no jurisdiction. Same thing in this case. How it applies is this court has yet to prove that it has jurisdiction. It has not been proven. There's been no certified document paperwork. There's been no proof. There's been no response to the demand for the statement of particulars. There's been no response to, we haven't even established that the plaintiff is a living human being and not an entity.
It doesn't have to be. That's not how this works.
There's so many things that have yet to even be proven. And again, if both cases that were just cited were voided by the Supreme Court for lack of jurisdiction, how is this case any different?
Thank you for your arguments, sir. First of all, the Hagens and the Melo decisions, or Melo, these were civil lawsuits. They weren't criminal cases at all. They dealt with the issue of a federal question or federal claims and jurisdiction in the district court for those particular cases. There's nothing that's applicable to a criminal case in state court for this court to even find they're relevant.
I knew it. And this exactly, and once again, I think it was Natalie Lawyer Chick that said it. But he's mixing federal case examples, and he's trying to use it in a state case that makes no sense.
They may be case law, maybe law as it relates to that, but they're not relevant to the proceedings in this case. In the Melo decision, for example, that had to do with a lack of jurisdiction because the plaintiff had failed to exhaust administrative remedies. That's not something that's applicable here. And so in that case, the court did not have jurisdiction. In the Hagens case, again, it had to do with a federal claim and jurisdiction related to that, and not criminal charges brought by a state against a individual. The Lopez decision, while a criminal case, dealt with a federal law and whether the district court had jurisdiction. In Lopez, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federal statute that had made an offense criminal, and because of that, there was no jurisdiction. There have been no similar arguments made in this case at all. The arguments that you raise related to the Bill of Particulars, related to those types of issues have all been debunked throughout the ages in the courts of the United States of America, both in state court and in federal court. And I direct your attention once again to United States versus Beneby, 654 F. 3rd 753. It's a 2011 decision from the 7th Circuit that is very on point as to the arguments that you are raising. So there's no requirement for this court to do what you are asking or demanding it to do.
How much do you want to bet, even after this well-explained reason as to why they do not need to delve into subject matter jurisdiction, he's going to say, I disagree, Your Honor. You should explain subject matter jurisdiction to me, or something like that. Like, he's just going to completely disregard everything she's saying right now as if it's a bunch of nonsense.
And for all of those reasons, this court will deny your request to dismiss.
I'm just saying it now.
Deny your request for the demand for particulars, even going back to one of the filings from the 3rd, dealing with your demand for a verified statement, your notice of special appearance. I mean, all of those things have been noted on the record, but to the extent that the court needs to respond to any of those, once again, your demands and requests and objections are either overruled or denied, as the case may be.
Your Honor, may I respectfully request a legal reconsideration for your ruling?
No, I just went through my reasoning, sir. So without you meeting the standard under a motion for reconsideration under Section 806.07, that request is summarily denied without any further argument. All right,
For
with
the record-
that,
For the record, may I request a legal or factual basis for your ruling? As you just cited, Your Honor,
I just provided the legal basis, sir.
you just cited a case law from United States versus Beneby, correct?
My reasoning stands. The record before you and on the record speaks for itself. I'm not going to address this any further. Your objections are noted.
Respectfully, Your Honor, may I ask for a written judicial finding of facts and conclusion of law on this matter?
Okay, so now I guess day 4 is the day of reaching. So now he's just reaching. Whatever he can get, whatever he can get his clammy hands.
You may request. That request is denied.
For the record,
What is
may
he
I
asking
respectfully
to do?
move for an interlocutory declaratory appeal on this matter, Your Honor.
That is not an issue this court would address. That would be for an appellate court, sir.
For the record, may I move to stay these proceedings until this instant matter is adjudicated by a court of competent jurisdiction?
That request is denied. This is a court of competent jurisdiction,
Based
and we
on
will
what?
proceed.
Based on what law or fact, Your Honor?
All right, Mr. Brooks, your objections are noted. I want to keep moving forward today.
May I respectfully object to that, Your Honor, based on the fact that you cited something that was a federal law, and then the cases that you went over in the challenge of jurisdiction were all dealing with federal guidelines.
This court's not going to explain the law to you, sir. I've cited the law, but I just direct you to those decisions. I believe they speak for themselves, and your request for any further articulation by this court as to the basis for the court's decision is denied.
May I respectfully object, Your Honor, and still ask for verified proof of...
Mr. Brooks, I've already addressed that. The request is denied. All right, moving on. Can the state... I'm moving on, Mr. Brooks. Thank you.
Please
Your
move
objections
on.
are noted. Attorney Opper, I'd like to address the issue...
Object, Your Honor.
Your objections noted. I would like to address the issue of the subpoenas that were turned over to the state. If you could just make a record on that.
Yes, thank you. We have received the subpoenas that were provided by Mr. Brooks. I believe there were 12 in total. We are endeavoring to have all the individuals properly served, and we will assist in arranging their appearance here in the courtroom at the appropriate time, with the exception of that one individual who we believe has relocated to the state of Texas. There are no other concerns that the state has at this point in getting those subpoenas served and getting these people here. I do want to advise the court that one of the witnesses on Mr. Brooks' subpoena list does need a Spanish interpreter. And that also reminds me to update the court on our progress in that regard. For the state's case, we believe if we would need a Spanish interpreter, and it's still unknown to us, or uncertain, I should say, it'd be later tomorrow morning, like probably after the morning break or even after lunch. We could call these witnesses out of order if we had to. So if you want to just say possibly 1 p.m. tomorrow, we could certainly work around that. And then when we get to Mr. Brooks' case, one of his witnesses will need an interpreter as well. We'll try and help the court keep track of that as well.
Have you been in contact with the individual at the clerk's office that assists with making arrangements for the interpreter, since it is the court's responsibility to do that, but it's your request?
I know my assistant had spoken to someone in the clerk's office, I think it was last week. I don't know if there's been any recent contact, but I will ask her to do that today.
Well, I know I saw one of our interpreters yesterday, and I don't know if that's because of those arrangements or not. And I don't see that person here today, but...
Yeah, I saw him also. I think he just came in to observe for a while.
Okay. Can you tell me the name of the witness for Mr. Brooks that needs an interpreter?
Juan Marquez, Marquez.
Should I look this person up? Should I
And
look them
this-
up in
can you
advance?
just give me a little bit more background? What I'm contemplating is, because I need to
I'll
make
just
arrangements for
let
the
it-
interpreter, is perhaps we could have that person brought the same time the other witness needs an interpreter, and do those witnesses, depending on how long they take, it may or may not be back to back, but maybe there'd be a witness in between, just for court efficiency and to make sure we have an interpreter available.
Yes, I understand, and we could potentially call him out of order. He is in the group with the same group that we would need Spanish interpreters for. That would be the Catholic community of Waukesha. So we're projecting to get to that testimony tomorrow morning for our case. As we sit here right now, Judge, we don't think we're going to need an interpreter, but we want to reserve that right should the need arise. And Mr. Marquez was on our witness list. However, we had made a preliminary decision that we would not be calling him as a witness. So he's generally familiar with the court proceedings, and he knows he may be called to testify. So it would be tomorrow morning, and yes, maybe we just want to say 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The interpreter's here for whatever witness needs them, and we call Mr. Marquez out of order. It wouldn't be a great switch for the jury, because we'll already have been dealing with those facts tomorrow morning.
When do you think you'll know whether you will need an interpreter? Is that for a witness or for someone in attendance?
Yeah, no, it's after our first two witnesses as it relates to the Catholic community. We believe we can establish all the elements we need through those witnesses, but if for some reason we could not, then we would have to call some of the Spanish-speaking people. We would be prepared to go on with other witnesses, and then we may have to circle back if need be, but we understand we want to be efficient and we don't want to have downtime in the courtroom, so.
All right, thank you. I'm contemplating, Mr. Brooks, that since the witness you want is part of that group and there's a possibility that they will need an interpreter, if that's the situation, then I'm going to require that Mr. Marquez be produced at that point for questioning. You'll be questioning him first, since it would be your witness, but I want to make wise use of our resource as it relates to the interpreter. It can be challenging to schedule interpreters, especially on a last-minute basis. I know the clerk's office has been working with the DA's office based upon the request that was received. The latest information I have, before I get back to you, Mr. Brooks, is that...
Imagine having to interpret what this man says. Like, whoever that interpreter is, I really hope they got a raise. Because the stuff that the questions that he asked, eventually it just starts making no sense at all. Like, it always devolves into that.
Kevin from the clerk's office has made a call, but it was not returned.
And then it's like repetitive.
Perhaps you can have your assistant, that was last week, follow up just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brooks, any questions about what I've advised you about the interpreter? Does that change your decision at all to call the witness?
It doesn't change me wanting to call the witness, and I want to state for the record that I object to being called that name. I'm a living and breathing human being. I do have questions, though. You're well aware that once we went off the record yesterday, I stayed to complete all of the subpoenas.
I'm aware of that.
There were initially 13, and I believe I turned in 12 because the prosecution stated that maybe one of them had relocated, but there was just a little bit more clarification that I didn't have yesterday about that whole situation, if they relocated or how that would play into them being subpoenaed. So
Is there a question as it relates to that, or just you're making that record?
I'm making that record, and also I wasn't sure yesterday, and maybe I should have asked before we went off the record, should I had just turned in all 13 subpoenas that I had and then just wait to see what more information could have been learned from that?
You can certainly give them the 13th subpoena, and we can make a further record later if need be. And we'll go from there. I mean, obviously, as officers of the court, they're telling me that they have this information about a witness being out of state. There's a different procedure for obtaining a witness that is from out of state, including that the person calling that witness needs to make the travel arrangements, and that's in the rules of procedure. So, but it's up to you if you want to turn that one over so that it's officially one that you turned over, given that you had been given that information and then the subpoenas needed to be refilled or filled out again. I'm certainly willing to have that turned over to them, and at a later point, a further record can be made if needed.
If in the event that takes place, would it be the same procedure, me having to stay after, or how would it work from that point? Because I would essentially say it would make more sense to just fill them out all together and file them together so everything is just together. It makes it easier.
Fill out the one.
Just the one?
Yes. Do you need another form?
I have another form.
All right. Do you have a copy of the first time you filled it out, so you have some of that information readily at your fingertips?
I believe I do. I don't want to say I'm 100% sure. I would have to do some minimal looking through all the paperwork.
If not, I have the first batch of subpoenas on my table in my chambers, and I can bring that out.
I'm pretty sure if it's not in the paperwork that's in front of me, it's in one of these boxes, which, as you see, is a lot of paperwork. I'm positive that it's there. I would just have to.
Well, let me know when a break. Like I said, I have it readily available and certainly can give it back to you to look at. All right. What about did you hear me advise you about the interpreter and making arrangements and potentially calling your witness out of order because of that?
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear.
Okay, good. Just want you to be prepared for the possibility that tomorrow you may need to call that witness, or the witness will be made available and you may need to question that witness tomorrow. So I just want you to be prepared for that.
So that should be the first witness called?
It would be out of order. It would still be during the state's case in chief, but if we have the interpreter here, because they need it, because they're not clear yet if they need that interpreter or not, if they use the interpreter and the interpreter's here, and then I'm going to also ask that they make arrangements to have Mr. Marquez available so that the interpreter, we can wisely use the interpreter resource and call those individuals, if not back to back, within short order of one another. Sometimes we have to give the interpreter a break and a rest. So that's why it might not be back to back. But in any event, you should be prepared potentially to question that witness. If they don't call the interpreter and the interpreter's not here and we haven't made arrangements, then I'm going to work with my staff and the clerk's office to make sure we have an interpreter during your case. You'll just need to tell me where in the 12 you want to call that person so I can better schedule.
In the 13.
Well, you have 13, but one's an out of state, so I'm told. But all right, very good. All right, anything else from the state then?
No, that was it for today, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Brooks, anything other than what we've already talked about?
Yeah, I don't know if the clerk received 2 ICF forms that I submitted.
I don't know if anything. I can check my electronic inbox. Let me just do that real quick and see if there's anything there.
Well, one of the ICFs we just addressed, that would be the one that I filled out last night, coming back from the proceedings yesterday. We just addressed that. That was dealing with the subpoenas.
Okay. All right. I don't see it. I'll make sure that my staff knows to look for it, and when we get it, it'll be uploaded, and then we can address it at a break.
The other one was dealing with asking for my court docket sheet.
What do you mean by that, sir?
I would like a certified copy of my court docket sheet.
I need to know what you mean by that, sir. There's many documents in the record. There are docket entries that are part of the electronic file.
Is the entire every court proceeding, is that part of the electronic file? What did you just
You
say?
mean a recording of the proceedings?
No,
or a
no, no.
record?
I want the actual docket sheet from every court proceeding that I've had in dealing with this matter.
Well, you'll have to address that to the clerk of court.
I did. I
Okay,
sent
so
the
then
IC.
that's why it didn't come to me and I wouldn't seen it. I'm not the custodian of the record. It's the clerk of court under the statute. So
Was it received?
I don't know, but I can find out. And on a break, we can advise. I'll direct Teresa to find out from the clerk of court if she received that. But she'll respond in due course.
It was addressed to Miss Monica Paz.
Okay, that's our clerk of court, so that's good that you did that. All right, anything else then? Other than what we've already talked about.
You know he has something else. Wow.
Okay, very
Surprising.
well. State will have its next witness then when we bring the jury out. Okay, very well. Madam Clerk, please have the jury brought out.
But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys clearing up every single question I have. Like, whenever I toss a question out, you know, and I'm genuinely confused as to what they're talking about, I always know, like, you guys are on it. Like, I have some of you guys in the comment section. It is incredible. You actually list off, like, by bullet points or by number, you know, the answers to each question that I ask. And that is so incredibly helpful. I appreciate it that you guys will, like, take the time to actually break it down for me, you know.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, the jury is here.
All right, the state may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Kelly Grabo.
Okay.
Good morning, Miss Grabow. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing and raise your right hand, and there is a step up when you get there. My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Just like all the other witnesses, I have no idea what happened with her,
First
so
thing
we're
I
going
will
to find
have
out
you
her
do is to
story.
state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
My first name is Kelly, Kelly, last name Grabo, Grabow.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Ms. Grabo, what do you do for a living?
I work at Burst Logistics as an inventory control specialist.
How long have you worked at Burris Logistics?
I had just started last year in September. It's their first year here.
Is testifying in court something that you do frequently with Burris Logistics?
No.
Are you a little bit nervous today?
Yes.
I want to ask you about Sunday afternoon, November 21st of 2021, okay?
Okay.
Did you take part in the Waukesha Christmas parade that day?
Yes.
Were you a spectator or a participant? Why were you there?
I was walking with Burst Logistics, my daughter and I.
What's your daughter's name
Adelia
and her last name?
Maffioli.
How long is Adelia? How old is Adelia?
She's 10 now. She was 9 at the time.
Okay. She was walking with you with Burris Logistics?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Hold on. Could you please spell her name for us, please?
Adelia. Last name is Maffioli, Maffioli.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the interruption. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. Thank you, Judge. Do you remember where your group was positioned in the parade in terms of who was behind you and who was in front of you?
Yes, we were directly between the Waukesha Blazers and Waukesha South Marching Band.
Okay, so which of those two were behind you?
Waukesha South Band was behind us.
Gotcha. What were you wearing that day?
Well, my daughter was dressed up as Cindy Lou Who, and I was wearing my elf dress with candy cane leggings.
Did the parade go smoothly?
No,
Why not?
we were struck by a vehicle.
Can you describe how that happened for us?
While we're walking through, my daughter came walking over by me and she went to go get more candy to go hand out to the kids. So she walked over, grabbed candy, and as she was walking off to the side, I noticed there was a difference in the sound behind us than what I was hearing throughout. So right as she walked off to the side and I seen she walked to the side, I turned. I don't know if I turned fully or just my head. And as I turned, all I seen was the hood of a red vehicle, and I hit the red vehicle and rolled down to the side and landed directly between the Burris Logistics float and the red vehicle, and I seen the tire go directly in front of my face.
Okay. So the Burris Logistics float that you just described, what was that?
Let me get his face for a thumbnail. This is the face of a monster right here.
There was a black truck pulling it. We had I believe there was a snowman in the back of the black truck, and then we had the Grinch in the float.
Which side of the truck were you on when you were struck?
Of the Burris, or
Burris truck.
I was on the driver's side of the Burris.
Okay. Where was Adelia?
Adelia, when she grabbed the candy and walked off to the side, I thought she was over by the sidewalk when I spun to look.
And what did you see when you spun?
The red hood of the vehicle.
When did you next see Adelia?
After I realized what just happened, I jumped up and took off running to go find her. And I seen her in the middle of the road, which I don't know how she got to that position from where I seen her last, but she was lying in the middle of the road, and there were some people around her trying to help her. Her shoes were down the road, as well as her glasses.
Your Honor, Exhibit 22 has previously been received and published. I'd ask to publish that again for this witness.
Permission granted.
Strength. This poor woman, man.
I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't clear with the jury as well. Yep, there we go. Okay, do you see the screen in front of you?
Yes, that's our float.
All right. We are going to play with audio at normal speed from the beginning until about the 26-second mark. And we paused at 27 seconds. Ms. Grabo, did you see yourself in that video?
Yes, I did.
What about Adelia? Did you see her?
With the amount of people, I did not directly see her.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning and turn the audio off. And let's go at about 50% speed.
Objection was the relevance of showing the video twice.
Overruled.
Grounds.
It's relevant.
Grounds.
Okay, so
And we'll play from the beginning.
we know the mood he's in today.
And let's pause right there. At 3 seconds. Do you see yourself at this 3-second mark?
Yes, I do.
Just tell us where you are in the screen.
We're directly in front of the Black Shirt Band banner. Adelia is wearing a red cape shawl with black and white checkered leggings. It was really cold and windy that day. And then I have the candy cane dress on with my jacket and a hat and candy cane leggings.
And what does it appear at this moment that you're doing with Adelia?
Giving her more candy.
And let's resume.
True strength, man. True strength right here. I don't know the extent of the injuries yet. I don't know if they mentioned that just yet. The extent of the injuries to her daughter.
Pause. We paused at the 19-second mark. Do you see yourself in the video at this point?
Yes, I'm lying directly between the truck, both of the vehicles.
The screen in front of you is a touch screen. Would you mind circling yourself? Your Honor, I'd ask to to save the screen of 22 and mark it as 22. I think we're on.
B.
Yeah. So then 22B, this would be marked as, and I'd move that into evidence.
The screen will be captured with the annotation. It will be marked as 22B, and it will be received.
And let's resume at that point. Pause. And we've paused at 24, and we can take that screen down now. What did we see you doing at the end of the video there?
I was lying between the vehicles.
Did you get up at some point?
Yes.
Okay, and then
Ran directly to my daughter.
what injuries, if any, did you sustain as a result of being struck by that SUV?
I think there's like ligament damage in my knee as well as my hand. I did have some bruising and some road rash on my knees.
Were you treated at a medical facility
Waukesha Memorial Hospital.
the night of the incident?
It was way later. I went in because I rode in the ambulance with my daughter. I refused to go anywhere else besides stay with her the entire time. So I stayed with her. We rode 2 children's in the ambulance. They did check me in the ambulance and see that I was stable and okay to do what I was doing. So I stayed with my daughter at Children's Hospital, and I did not want to leave her until I knew she was at home in bed safe.
What injuries, if any, did Adelia sustain?
Massive bruising all up and down her back. She had a broken hand, road rash all on her face.
All the questions I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do you have any cross for this witness?
Cross-exam.
Before you were struck by the vehicle, you said that you heard changes in sound to the parade. That was the people marching in the parade in the back of you, right?
Yes.
Do you recall what the sounds were that you heard?
It was just a change in the tone behind me. It wasn't the Jubilee sound that we were hearing throughout the parade. You could tell something was happening behind us.
Did it seem to get louder?
Yeah,
Was it already pretty noisy with the parade going on?
it was noisy.
And you stated that it was really windy and cold that evening.
Yes, very.
Would it be any reason why you wouldn't be able to hear everything going on behind you?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't be able to hear everything behind us, because I heard the change in the sound of the band, so obviously I could hear what was going on directly behind me.
The vehicle that struck you, do you recall seeing a driver?
No, I seen the red hood of the vehicle. That's
So
all
you-
I seen.
So you didn't see the driver or anybody in the vehicle?
No, again, I just seen the red hood as it ran into me.
No license plates or?
Nope.
You recall how fast the vehicle might have been traveling when you were struck?
It had to have been going a decent speed. As I said before, I did see the rear tire going past my face, and it all happened extremely fast.
So you don't recall?
With the chaos that was going around that day, no, I do not remember exactly.
And you stated that after you were struck, you got up and ran to your daughter, correct?
Yes.
And you were able to do that with
He's gonna ask
your
about
leg
the knee.
injury?
Yes. I guess that would be the adrenaline going through your body at that moment in time.
Exactly. Adrenaline will make you power through all sorts of injuries. Like
It did give
is
me the strength
insane.
to run to my daughter.
So when was it that you knew that you had the, I think you said knee injury?
Yes, knee and hand.
When did that pain in your leg set in?
It was immediately.
But you were still able to get up and run?
Yeah.
Do you recall how long before you received medical treatment?
We were there for quite a while. I think we were one of the last ones to leave in the ambulance as I sat with my daughter at Children's Hospital. After I got her home, where I knew she was safe and secure, I then went, my sister took me to Waukesha Memorial Hospital at, I would guesstimate that was probably around 2 in the morning, right around there, after
Wow.
I knew my daughter was safe.
Right.
So it's fair to say that you waited a little bit before you tended to yourself.
I attended to my daughter prior to myself to make sure my daughter was safe, yes.
Do you recall how long you were treated?
I'd probably say about two hours I was at the hospital.
Did they give you any pain medication or?
I was taking ibuprofen and Tylenol, that is it.
Do you recall what time you arrived at the parade?
Well, since we were walking with the parade, we had to be there early. We staged probably around 3, I would say, I think it was.
And were you able to see what the vehicle did after you were struck?
No, my only attention at that point in time was to find my daughter and attend to my daughter.
So you didn't see what, the route that the vehicle traveled or anything after that?
I seen the aftermath after it went through. That was it.
Do you recall how long you were marching in the parade before you were struck?
I do not recall how long we were there.
Were you near any cross streets or intersections?
I don't know the name of the intersection, but yes, there was. I know we're right by Bosco's. There's a little walkway that takes you down to the river, or there's a little tiny side street off to the side.
Do you recall if they were barricaded?
I do not recall.
Do you recall if any law enforcement may have been standing by those intersections?
Do not recall.
Do you recall any reports coming over any radios by law enforcement?
I do not recall that. The only thing I heard after we were hit was shots fired.
So you did hear shots fired. Did that
I
come
don't
from?
know if it was directly from a cop or if it was people running.
Did you hear the shots?
I did not.
So after you were struck, it would be fair to say that it got louder than what it was before.
After, in the middle of the complete chaos, yes.
With all the noise and chaos going on, do you think it would have been hard for you to hear a horn honking?
I did not hear a horn.
Would it have been hard? The question was, would it have been hard for you to hear it?
Before it got to us or after?
After it became chaotic.
I was not listening for a horn after we had already been hit by the vehicle.
So it'd be fair to say you wouldn't be able to recall.
I would not be able to recall that.
Did you file any claim in this incident?
What do you mean by claim?
Did you file a report as an injured party in this matter?
Yes.
So it would be fair to say that you identify yourself as an injured party?
I was injured by the circumstances that day, yes.
Do you recall the officer that you reported your claim with?
I do not recall.
Have you seen or read a complaint in this matter?
What do you mean by that?
Have you seen a written complaint or read a written complaint in this matter? Objection. Grounds.
That's so vague. Like,
Mr. Brooks, are you referring to the criminal complaint in this case or something else?
I'm referring to something else, the complaint.
Well, then I'll
The
sustain
complaint.
the objection. As to the form of the question, it's vague.
May I respectfully ask on what grounds, Your Honor?
It's vague. Next question, or rephrase.
Do you know of any complaint being filed in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds.
As to the form of the question.
Were you aware that it may be possible that you could give testimony in this matter?
Yes, I was aware of that.
Did you seek to give testimony in this matter?
I was okay with doing so.
And who were you informed by?
The district attorney's office.
Was that in form of a subpoena or was it a conversation? Or?
Well, at first it was knowing that there was a possibility and then the subpoena.
So it'd be fair to say that you did have a conversation
Conversation?
with the district attorney's office.
Yes.
Did they ever inform you of who the plaintiff was in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you ever talked to the plaintiff in this matter? Ever seen the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained under 90611. Mr. Brooks, you need to move on to a new topic or I will close the cross-exam.
I will move on. It has to be some type of ground stated other than relevancy or anything like that. The real ground should be put on record, Your Honor. We
Just
all
move
deserve
on.
to know. The jury deserves to know.
Just move on.
It's not relevant. Move on.
So are you bringing this claim against the accused defendant in this matter?
Objection, vague.
Grounds?
Sustained.
90611.
On what grounds, Your Honor?
It's vague. That's the form of the question.
Have you seek to receive any recovered damages or anything in the matter?
The only thing that we got was help to pay for our medical bills, as that was something that was completely unexpected from a Christmas parade.
Is that through the state of Wisconsin?
It was through, I forgot the name of what it was.
Are you listed as a plaintiff in this matter?
Am I listed as a plaintiff in this
Are
matter?
you the plaintiff? Did you file the claim?
Objection,
That's a
relevant.
compound question. Sustained as to the form of the question. Mr. Brooks?
Did you
under
file a claim?
90611. Move on. You've already asked about whether she filed a report. Move on.
This line of questioning has literally never worked. It's crazy.
Do you see the state of Wisconsin present in the court?
Objection,
Grounds?
Sustained under 90611. I warned you to avoid that topic or I would cease cross-exam, so I'll give you one more opportunity to ask a different line of questioning.
No, Judge. Be firm in the cross-exam.
Do you recall when you gave your interview to law enforcement?
It was a few days after.
Would it be fair to say it was a few days or a week or so?
I don't actually remember the exact time.
Do you remember being interviewed by Detective Jeffrey Adent?
I remember being interviewed. I don't remember what the officer's name was.
Do you remember where you were interviewed?
At my house.
Do you recall if it was on November 30 of 2021?
I don't remember the exact dates.
Can you recall why it took a little bit for you to be interviewed by law enforcement?
I'm guessing because of how many people were injured throughout this parade. It did take a while to get around to everybody.
Did you seek to be interviewed in any way?
I don't think I seeked, but I did inform them that I was injured, as well as my daughter.
But you don't recall calling any law enforcement or attempting to file a report?
Law enforcement that was there at the parade took people's name and it all ended up going to them.
Did you follow up in the days after?
I don't recall if I did.
Do you recall stating that you did not see what happened to your daughter?
I do recall that.
He better not ask something stupid. So how do you know for sure that she was struck or something dumb like that? I could
Do you
definitely
recall
see what I'm saying.
being left a business card by Dr. Darrell L. Williams, PhD?
Yes, I do.
Would it be fair to say that he was the one that told you what happened?
I still to this day don't know directly what happened to my daughter. I just know that she was hit by the red vehicle as I was laying on the ground after I was hit.
I knew he was gonna say something. Or he's hinting at it. He didn't
So it would
directly
be fair
say
to
it.
say if you didn't see what actually happened to your daughter, you didn't see what happened to anyone else.
Objection.
Grounds.
Characterization of the
Grounds.
events.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Would it be fair to say that it was difficult to see if anyone else was struck?
From the position I was in, I seen a tire going in front of me, so no, I did not see directly anywhere besides the tire going in front of my face.
So it would be fair to say that you didn't see anyone get struck besides yourself.
It would be kind of difficult to see beyond that.
No further questions.
Can I redirect?
The last time you saw your daughter before you got struck, where was she?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
She was walking over, or she came over by me to get more candy to pass out, and she was walking off to the sidewalk to hand out more candy.
Sidewalk on which side of the Burris float?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
That would be to the driver's side so to the left.
Okay. And then you got struck. And where's the next place that you saw Adelia?
I seen Adelia.
Overruled.
She didn't see anything.
It's not hearsay, Mr. Brooks.
That's the definition of hearsay.
Mr. Brooks, the objection is
Testify.
noted. It's overruled.
On what grounds, Your Honor?
Well, he's
Direct your
in.
attention to section 90801, sir. You may answer the question.
He's going back to his disruptive ways. He's in that mood today. He's in that. He's just in that headspace, I guess.
After I got up, I found my daughter in the
Playing
middle
nice
of
for
the
too
road.
long.
She was no longer by the sidewalk.
Was she? Where was she in relation to the Burris, the truck that was pulling the float?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
On what grounds?
Direct your attention to 90801, sir. It's not hearsay. Go ahead, you may answer.
She was towards the driver's side, the front end of the vehicle. So she was more towards the front of the vehicle.
You testified that after you were struck, the noise in the area increased. It got louder. You're saying that? And so, as a result of that increase in noise, you weren't listening for a horn?
No,
Okay. What about before you got struck? Did you hear the sound of a horn?
I did not.
Hearsay.
It's not hearsay. Overruled. Would you just repeat your answer, please?
I did not hear a horn.
Thank you. You're doing fine, but if there is an objection, let me rule on it first, just so we're not talking over each other, okay? Thank you.
And I'm all done, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, you may step down. Thank you.
All right, that one was another intense one. So we're starting to get to the parade goers that were actually impacted. Excuse me. The parade goers that were directly impacted
You may call your next witness then.
by the
The state would call Jeffrey Rogers.
Oh man, we got
Said
another one.
Rogers.
Okay,
Thank you.
Jeffrey Rogers, I think they said.
All right, good morning, Mr. Rogers. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. It is up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
So I'm assuming this is another parade goer that was struck by the vehicle.
So help you God.
Yes.
Thank you,
We'll see
sir.
in just
Please
a
have
second.
seat. The first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each, please.
Okay. Jeff Rogers, Jeffrogers.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, do you live in the city of Waukesha?
Yes, I do.
Are you familiar with the program, the Waukesha Blazers Youth Baseball Program?
Yes, I
Overruled.
Yes, I currently serve as the president.
And what is the Blazers Youth Program?
We have teams. We have a rookies program, which is ages 5 up to 12. We also have a select baseball program and softball program, and that ranges from ages 7 all the way up through high school.
Is this for boys and girls?
Yes.
And as president, what duties do you have?
Sure. Maintaining the schedule for the year, ensuring that we have indoor facilities for winter workouts, arranging any tournaments, ensuring we have game fields for the year for practices and games, setting the team rosters, running tryouts. There's lots on the plate.
Are you also a coach with the Blazers?
I am.
Okay. So direct your attention to November 21st of last year. Were the Blazers part of the City of Waukesha Christmas Parade?
Yes, we were.
And do you recall the day?
Yes.
Approximately what time did you have to get to the parade to set up?
It was probably about an hour before the parade started.
And was the parade starting at approximately 4 o'clock?
Yes.
What was the weather like?
It was cool, windy, I remember cloudy.
Who was all walking with the Blazers that day? I mean, not names, but generally speaking, was it players, coaches?
Sure, it was coaches, players, and some family members.
Did you have a float?
We had a pickup truck with a Christmas tree in the back.
Okay. And was that pickup truck marked with the Blazers?
We had banners on both sides of the truck, yes.
Okay.
Building your custom home is now easier than ever. And with America's Home Place, we can show you how. During our 50 years as a company,
Do you recall any groups that were in front, or a group that was in front of you or behind you?
From my memory, I remember the extreme dance group in front of us. I don't remember who was in back.
Okay. And were you there, was it just you, or did you have any kids that were involved in the program at that time?
I was there with 3 of my 4 children,
Okay.
one of which was playing on my baseball team.
Okay. And I'm assuming that there were other parents there
Yes.
with their kids? And specifically, were 2 of your kids there, Caden, Cayden, and Riley, Ryle?
Yes.
And which one of those, does either one of those play with the program?
Caden plays on my team.
Okay, and Riley was there for,
Support.
Okay.
She used to play in the program.
okay, and then you had a third child there.
Yes.
Do you know Josh Kriener?
Yes, I do.
And what is his involvement with the Blazers?
He was a first-year coach for our 9U.
Okay, and he was also walking?
Yes, he was walking the parade.
And did you have a formation for the parade, or was it just people kind of walking next to the truck, behind the truck,
All over the truck, we were handing out little flyers.
promoting the Blazers, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay. Specifically, do you remember 2 players, Jackson and Tucker Sparks?
I do.
Were they there?
Yes, they were.
And was their dad there?
Yes.
Okay, and they were also walking the parade?
Yes.
Do you recall if they were wearing uniforms?
I believe Jackson was wearing his uniform. I don't remember if Tucker was.
I'm going to show you what's been, let me just make sure it was previously played, but Exhibit 11, and I'm just going to display it in front of the screen in front of you. Yes, it was previously admitted. So I will also play it, publish it to the jury. And let me know when you see it in front of you.
I see it.
Okay. So initially I'm going to, it's a 2-minute and 29-second video. I'm going to have it play, and I will let Ms. Gussie know when.
Objection, how long? is the video
It's
seeking
2
to be
minutes and
played.
29 seconds.
So would that be the entire video?
That would be the entire Exhibit 11.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the video at 28 seconds. Did you recognize that as the Blazers, I want to say float or group that was marching in the parade?
Yes, I saw myself and all the people walking with me.
Okay, did you see Josh Craner?
I did.
Did you see either one of your kids, Caden or Riley?
I saw Caden and Maya.
Okay, and then did you also see Jackson and Tucker Sparks?
I did see Jackson. I don't recall seeing Tucker.
Okay, let's play it again from the beginning. Okay, I'm gonna pause it. First of all, can you circle yourself on the screen? It's a touch screen. Can you circle yourself? And you said that you saw Caden?
Yep, just previously.
Okay, of course. And how about Jackson?
Yes, I saw Jackson, and I see Tucker now too.
Okay, and can you circle them? The shorter of the two kids, do you know, is that Jackson or Tucker?
That's Jackson.
Okay, so the taller is Tucker.
I believe
presumably.
so.
Okay, and I'm going to back it up approximately 4 seconds to 12 seconds. We've stopped at 16 seconds, and we can clear the screen. And I'm going to keep it paused. Do you see Caden in this frame?
I do.
And can you circle him by where he's standing? Now this was, at some point there was a vehicle that came through the parade, correct?
Correct.
This was before that time period, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, and we can take this video down, did you hear any type of commotion or anything that drew your attention to behind you during the parade route?
Yes, I remember hearing some sort of scream. Couldn't tell if it was part of the parade or not. Turned over my left shoulder to see, I remember a wheel falling over and thinking like, oh no, somebody fell off their bike or somebody got hurt. So I turned back around, and at that point the screams got louder and I saw people running, or heard people running and lots of screaming. So I turned around again, and that's when I saw a red SUV coming at us, and I pulled my daughter Maya out of the way.
At that time, do you recall, you said Maya was next to you?
Yes.
Do you recall where Caden was?
I remember Caden was up to the left of our vehicle. That's somewhere, wasn't sure exactly.
And if you can recall, was the vehicle in the middle of Main Street?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
From what I remember, yes.
And what side were you on? Were you at the back of the vehicle or the side of the vehicle?
I was pretty much directly behind our vehicle, in the middle of the road.
Okay. And Caden was where in relationship to you?
To my left.
Okay. And your daughter, Maya?
Maya was standing right next to me on my left.
Okay. And Riley?
And Riley was up somewhere by Caden.
Do you recall where Josh Craner was?
Josh was to my left as well.
And how about Jackson and Tucker Sparks?
I recall them being in front of me. I'm not sure, maybe a little to the left as well.
So when you looked back, you said you heard screaming, you heard yelling and running. Did you hear a horn honking?
I did not.
When you first observed the red SUV,
Great.
first of all, strike that. Was there a group immediately after the Blazers team in the parade?
Objection, relevant.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Are you talking behind us or in front of us?
Behind. Was there someone directly behind you, or was there a gap between you and whoever was behind you? If you recall, when you look back, was there a float right behind you?
I don't remember seeing a float right behind us.
Okay. And people were running. Could you tell where they were running?
From what I remember, running towards me and to the sides of the street.
And when you first saw this, you said a red vehicle?
Yes.
Did you have a more, was it a car, a SUV, a pickup truck?
I remember it being larger than a car. How I described it to other people as an SUV.
And how was it coming at you? Was it on the, it sounds like you were behind the truck. You said Caden was to your left, which would be, and I'm horrible at directions, but that would be the south side of the street. Was it coming on the south side of the street, the middle of the street, or the north side of the street, which would have been to your right?
Overruled, you may answer.
From what I remember, it was middle, and then it moved to the left to go around our truck.
Okay. As it was coming towards you, what did you do?
My first reaction was to grab Maya, and she slipped through my hands the first time, and then luckily I grabbed her the second time and pulled her to the side. Immediately was trying to put her in the back of our vehicle because I didn't know if more cars were coming.
When you say the back of your vehicle, the Blazers vehicle, or did you have a personal vehicle also in the parade?
The Blazers pickup truck.
And then what happened?
Sure. So after I got her up in the truck, I was frantically looking for my kids. I watched the SUV continue driving down the parade route, swerved back to the right after it passed our truck. I was screaming, "Where's Riley?" Caden found me, and I tried to get him in the back of the truck as well. From there, I was yelling at him, asking where Riley, screaming, "Where's Riley?" He didn't know. So I ran around the truck a couple times, and that's when I saw Jackson on the ground and stopped by him to check on him.
So where was Jackson in relationship? I'm assuming that once the red SUV came through, did the parade stop?
Yes.
Where was Jackson in relationship to
I believe Jackson is
the
one of
pickup
the...
truck?
Sorry, I keep talking over people. But I believe Jackson is one of the victims that didn't make it.
From what I remember, he was in the front of the truck to the left.
Was there anyone else around him at that time?
His dad, Aaron.
Okay. Did you talk to Aaron?
I did.
And what observations did you make of Jackson?
Jackson was motionless on the ground, eyes open, didn't appear to be aware.
Did he appear to be alive?
Was unsure.
Did you find out that he died as a result of being struck?
I did.
Overruled, his answer may stand.
So when the car came through, the red SUV, it went to which side of the truck?
The left side.
Okay. And that's where you said Caden was. Did Caden get struck?
Caden told me he did.
Okay. What injuries did he have?
Objection, hearsay. Just said told. It's not for sure.
Overruled, this witness may answer based on personal knowledge.
So Caden said he saw the...
Hold on. That would be hearsay. So I'll sustain the objection if you would rephrase the question.
What injuries did Caden have?
He had bruising on his right elbow.
And do you know if Caden got struck by the red SUV?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, he did.
Did you see Jackson or Tucker Sparks get struck by the SUV?
Sitting here today, I do not remember that.
Okay. Did you give a statement at some point? I think it was part of a parade survey, if you recall that.
Yes.
That was, I think, created by the Victim Witness Program, sent out by the Victim Witness Program, and then you would have sent it back. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And was that something that you created?
Yes, those are my words.
Okay. And is it correct that that form says, after that I saw the car drive past us on the left, striking two of our players, Tucker and Jackson Sparks?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
See that? That's hearsay.
Overruled, his answer may stand.
Thank you. I'm assuming that the event was fresher in your mind when you gave that statement versus a year later?
Yes, I believe everything in that statement is accurate.
Okay, thank you. And do you know if Jackson Sparks was injured? I'm sorry, Tucker Sparks.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Do you know what injuries he had?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I remember the most significant was brain bleed or a head injury.
And did you eventually find your daughter Riley?
I did.
Where was she?
I remember the mother of Jackson and Tucker Sparks. She actually spoke, near the end of the trial where they have all the families talk about how this experience impacted them. When I tell you literal like tears, bro. That's why I made that community post. Like, a lot of people wanted me to live stream it, and I was actually attempting to live stream like a reaction to it. But then when I was looking at it in my own time, like while I was working, I had it, posted up here, and I was looking at it, and I was just, I don't even know. Just hearing the pain in her voice, man, and then she explains what is done to her and how she doesn't feel whole anymore. Like, if you hear that stuff and you just don't feel like some type of way, you don't feel sad, man, I don't know what to say. But I could not stop
She
crying
was
listening
across
to
the
that.
street. So I had taken Maya and Caden into the antique shop on the south side of the road. She was across the street in the Civic Theater.
Was she injured as a result of a car striking her?
She was.
And what car struck her?
The red SUV.
Okay. What injuries did she receive?
She had multiple cuts, bruises, scraping on both of her legs. Her knee was pretty badly bruised.
Now, after the car went to the left side
get him off the
of the
screen.
Blazers truck, striking the kids, did you see the path that it took?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I remember it going back to the right side of the road after that.
So after it passed the truck,
Yes.
did it strike the Blazers truck at all?
I don't remember.
So it went to the far right side of the road?
Yes.
And then did you see it from there?
That's the last memory I have of it.
So do you know approximately how far Jackson was in front of the Blazers truck when you went and you talked to his father, Aaron, who was with Jackson?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I don't remember.
Okay. Did the vehicle stop?
No, it didn't.
Did you see it stop at any time while you had view of it?
No.
Can you estimate approximately how fast it was going before when you first took notice of the red SUV when you looked back?
Objection, hearsay.
I knew he was gonna object. I knew
I
it.
remember thinking, this is a parade. It's 25-mile-an-hour speed limit here. If I were in my neighborhood and a car was going that fast, I would be yelling at it. So faster than the speed limit.
And I'm assuming when you're in a parade, you're not going, although the speed limit on that road might be 25 miles per hour, you're not going 25 miles per hour. Would that be a correct statement?
Absolutely.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
Now, before you went into the antique store, was there anyone yelling anything about shots being fired?
Yeah, I don't remember who yelled it, but I heard shots were fired and to get inside the nearest building.
And did you go in right away, or were you still looking around the car for Riley?
Right. I didn't have Riley at the time, so I had to make a decision that I had 2 out of my 3 kids and took them into the antique store after that.
Prior to going into the antique store, did you see Jackson again?
I don't remember if it was before or when I came out of the antique store.
Okay. So, did you see Jackson a second time on Main Street?
Yeah.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Where was that, or where was he?
Yeah, so after I put Caden and Maya in the antique store, I asked the couple there to watch them because I was going to go find my other daughter. Ran back outside onto Main Street, and that's when I saw Jackson again. And at that point, I believe a woman was trying to perform CPR on him.
Did you ever see Josh Craner while you were outside?
I remember,
After the vehicle had gone through. I apologize.
no, that's fine. After running back outside, I remember seeing a someone near our truck that had a jacket, a brownish jacket on, and at the time I believed it was Josh. I didn't know him well at the time.
And where was he?
He was on the left side of the vehicle, our vehicle.
On the ground, did you say?
Yes, he was laying on the ground.
Okay. And at some point, did you, how did you find Riley?
I received a phone call when I was in the antique store. It was a phone call or a text message from my friend, Ben.
And what did he have Riley?
Yeah, he said he was with her across the street and that her legs were injured, but she was okay.
Okay. And that's what I was just going to say. As a result, you had indicated that Caden did receive an injury from being struck by the car.
Yes.
Did Riley receive an injury?
Yes.
What were her injuries?
She had scrapes, bruises, abrasions up and down her legs.
And that was from the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been previously marked and admitted into evidence as Exhibit 15. And I would ask that be published to the jury right away.
Go ahead.
And let me know, sir, when that's up on the screen in front of you.
I see it.
Okay. There's a section. Actually, it's in the middle of the page, probably more on the upper part. It has names: Josh Craner, Riley Rogers, Caden Rogers, Jackson Sparks, and Tucker Sparks. Do you see that?
I do.
And then there's a line on the left side of that diagram that goes down to the map where it leads to a yellow star. Do you see that?
Yes.
Would that be the area in which each of those people were struck by the red SUV?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, it appears accurate.
Thank you. I'm now going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 148. I'm going to have it just shown in front of you first. And I'll have it play for a couple seconds. It's starting at 0. Sir, do you recognize the frame that it stopped at, which is at 5 seconds?
Yes.
Have you seen this video before?
I have.
And does it accurately depict what occurred on November 21st of last year, shortly before, during, and after the red SUV struck the Blazers?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish and admit Exhibit 148 into evidence.
Objection is noted. Exhibit 148 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
On what grounds?
Sir, it's approximately 3 minutes and 22 seconds. I'm going to play that entire video initially, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, do we have the total again?
3 minutes and 22 seconds.
Thank you.
What is the relevance of showing the entire video?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled.
What grounds?
Relevance.
What grounds?
That is the ground.
He's acting up today.
Go ahead.
I saw in the comments y'all were picking up too. He doesn't. He knows who to say like good morning and stuff to. He knows exactly who to try that stuff with. Cause a lot of these people, like I don't even know why he's saying that stuff to him, especially given the circumstances of what he did. All the pleasantries should pretty much go out the window. Is this the aftermath? Man, look at all this. It's yeah, you see people laying on the ground. This is insane, man. This must be when someone ran through yelling shots fired, because people are really scrambling to get inside now.
That is the entire 3 minutes and 22 seconds. Sir, you just gave a testimony with regard to your actions. Did you see yourself in that video doing a lot of the things that you just testified to?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm gonna play it one more time, and I'm gonna pause it at certain points if you can just identify where you are and what you're doing, okay? So let's play it from the very beginning at 00. I'm going to pause it right here. Now it looks like there's quite a few people in there walking behind Waukesha Blazers truck. Are all those people part of the Waukesha Blazers program?
It appears so, yes.
Okay, so either parents, players, or support?
Yes.
And do you see yourself?
I do.
And can you circle where you are? And your daughter?
Maya is right here.
And you see Caden?
No, I don't.
And you see Josh Craner in this frame?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's clear
Hold
this.
on, could you just make a record of where you paused?
Yes, I'm sorry. At 13 seconds, if we can clear the screen and continue on. Pause. Do you know what you were looking back at? It seemed like, as I started saying before, a lot of people were looking behind you. Is that when you heard, you said something about a wheel tipping?
Yeah, I remember the first time I turned back, seeing something tip, whether it was a stroller, a wheelchair, a bike, some sort of tires in my mind, and hearing screams at that time, thinking that somebody got hurt.
Then you said you turned back, face forward, and then something else drew your attention back?
Correct.
And what was that?
The screaming.
Now, do you see Josh Craner in this frame?
I do.
Okay, and can you circle him where he's at?
He was running right there.
And that's at 16 seconds?
Yes, and I was just reminded of that. Thank you. And you saw the video straight through before, correct?
Correct.
And Josh Craner is about to get struck by the car, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's play that through. Stop the video. When you saw Josh laying on the ground, Josh Craner, do you know approximately where, I'm sorry, it stopped at 19 seconds. I'm very bad at this. Do you know where Josh Craner was laying approximately?
I just want to say really quick, this dude is sitting here watching a video of himself run through kids, and he has a slightly annoyed look on his face. pure garbage. But that's just something I wanted to insert.
To the left side of our vehicle, that's about all I remember.
Okay, so he's not shown, did you see 2 bodies fly forward from the truck?
In the video or
In
when I
this
was
video
there?
right now?
I would have to see it again.
Okay, if we can go back to probably 14 seconds. And play it again. From 13 seconds. Stop it. Did you see 2 bodies flying forward?
Yes.
Do you recall, as you look at this picture, where Jackson was of the 2 bodies that flew forward?
I believe he was on the left side of the truck as well.
And can you circle him by where he's laying on the ground?
Can you play it one more time, please?
Yes, and that was, I stopped it at 21 seconds. I'm now going back again to 14 seconds and playing it again starting at 14 seconds. I paused, or it was paused at 18 seconds. Did that assist you?
Yeah, looks like he's laying right up here.
And do you know who the body is that's to the right of Jackson?
I don't, looking at it from here.
And do you know, as Jackson and Tucker were marching to the left of the truck, as you testified to, were they close together in distance?
Yes, they were close.
Okay, thank you. If you can keep playing. I'm sorry, and it's starting at 18 seconds. What do you see you doing now?
I picked up Maya and I'm running to check on Jackson.
And
Over the top of him right now.
Okay. I was just going to say, if you can narrate, and that you said that at approximately 31 seconds, you were over the top of Jackson.
Yes. And now I just grabbed Ella, another one of our members.
You can pause the video. Okay. And what are you doing?
I'm
And
putting-
it's paused at 35 seconds, 55 seconds.
Putting Maya in the back of the truck to keep her safe.
And how about Ella?
Ella, I was bringing her with me too, so I knew where she was.
Okay. At this point, had you seen Caden?
No.
Okay. Continue.
That I'm talking
Pause.
to Caden now.
So at 1 minute and 3 seconds, you're lifting someone up into the pickup truck?
Yes, that's Caden.
Okay. Continue.
And I'm yelling at him, asking where Riley is. And he's telling me he doesn't know. I told him to stay there, and I was going to go run and try to find her. As I went to the left of the truck, as I knew she was on that side.
Is that you running down the street?
I saw somebody down in the road, praying it wasn't her. It was not.
I'm going to pause it right now. When you said you saw someone else in the road, did it appear that that person was injured?
Yeah, they were down on the ground with people around them.
Okay. If you can continue on.
Telling the
Pause.
kids that it'll be okay, and they're safe now with the truck.
Okay, that was paused at 1 minute and 47 seconds. Continue on. At 2 minutes in, had you found Riley yet?
No. And there I'm pointing out that
Pause.
we need medical attention.
And that was at 2 minutes and 31 seconds. You're pointing out that who needs medical attention?
Jackson.
You can continue on.
At that point, I was just talking to Caden again, asking him if he remembered where Riley was.
That's 2 minutes and 38 seconds.
And I told him to come and help me find her. At this point, people are rushing in the stores as we heard shots were fired.
That was at 3 minutes.
So I grabbed Maya and Caden and ran into the nearest open door that I could find.
Pause. And that was at about 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Is that, yes? Did that happen about 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the video?
Yes.
I'm sorry. And that's all I need for the video. And finally, I'm going to show you Exhibit 31. And let me just see if that's been admitted yet. It has not. So I'm going to have it displayed in front of you. I'm not going to have it published until I show you a couple seconds of this to see if you can indicate that this is a true representation of what happened on November 21st.
I see it, and it is.
Okay. Permission to publish it and admit Exhibit 31 into evidence.
How many seconds?
27 seconds.
Exhibit 31 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
And if we can play it.
By the way, there will be links to donate to the victims and community of Waukesha in the comments section. My last two videos, it slipped my mind to add that to the comments, so I'm gonna go back and add that as well. But if you guys want to donate, definitely check those out. I'm sure anything is appreciated.
Does that accurately depict the path of the vehicle as it was striking the Blazers members?
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
All right, I'm going to take a mid-morning break at this point, about 15 to 20 minutes. All rise for the jury, please. All right, it's 20 minutes. All right, we will go back on the record appearances are as they were before. I will have the jury brought out, and we'll continue with the questioning of this witness.
Judicial determination you made about the jurisdiction?
I thought I was very clear, sir.
So will proof be validated?
Your request is denied.
On what legal basis, Your Honor?
The record stands, sir.
Is that a judicial determination?
Just because he doesn't understand anything that she says, she broke it down beautifully, but of course he doesn't understand a single thing about that breakdown, so he's just gonna keep nagging about it. So there it is.
My ruling was put on the record earlier, sir.
Right.
So that is a judicial determination?
All rise.
Is he crying?
Come here for a second.
Look, he's having another breakdown or something. They keeping the camera on him too.
All right.
I think he's crying. I can't tell for sure.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Mr. Brooks, you may start your questioning of this witness then.
Just a second,
What are you crying for, man?
I'm sorry about that. I just needed a second.
Did he just say this is hard? Look, I'm gonna need to not hear any complaint. I don't know why. I don't know if he thinks like the people at home watching it feel like some sort of, I guess, like sympathy for that or something. But like, dude, do you realize what you've done? You know, like, do you realize what you've just done? And now you're talking about this is hard. Yeah, it is. But I'd imagine it's harder for the families, right?
I apologize to the witnesses. A little emotional right now for me, so I apologize to the court as well for the delay.
This is wild.
Can you recall what time you arrived at the parade that evening?
I don't remember exactly.
Do you recall how long you intended to stay?
Through the parade till it was done.
You testified earlier to seeing some of the video footage that was played. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, that's fair to say.
Do you recall how many times before today you saw the video footage?
I believe I saw one of the videos once.
And you don't recall seeing any of the other videos?
Maybe clips. We were bouncing around.
Do you recall by whom you were shown the videos?
The folks at the prosecution table.
That referring to the three prosecutors sitting there right now?
Yes.
All three?
Yes.
You stated in testimony earlier that you did not see the vehicle strike the children that were in front of you. Would that be fair to say?
I said sitting here today, I don't remember that.
You said something to that effect. Would that be fair to say?
I mean, it's been, I think it's been like a year at this point, so like, it's not going to be fresh in his mind anymore. Like a substantial amount of time has passed. So.
You'd have to be more clear.
You said something to that effect of what you just said.
To what effect?
That you, sitting here today, that you do not recall seeing anyone struck ahead of you.
That's correct.
But then you also stated that you did see who was struck ahead of you.
Is that a question?
Would that be fair to say?
In relation to what?
In relation to someone being struck in front of you.
When I was there, or the video? What are you talking about?
At any time. When you was there.
When I wrote my statement, I wrote what I remembered at that time.
So would it be fair to say that as you sit here today that anything about your statement may have changed?
Nothing has changed.
So your testimony here today would be accurate to what you reported?
Everything I said has been accurate.
Do you recall saying in your interview with the DIC that your 11-year-old son and 9-year-old daughter suffered minor injuries in the event?
I remember saying they were injured.
Do you recall saying that the injuries were minor?
No.
Not direct the witness to the statement?
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes, right here.
Is it his statement or summary?
It's not a statement, it is a statement from DCI, an agent from DCI, in which the DCI agent spoke with Mr. Rogers and wrote down what he believed was said to him. It was not signed by Mr. Rogers, it was not reviewed by Mr. Rogers, therefore I would object to this being characterized as this witness's statement.
Grounds.
If he would like to call the DCI agent, then he may do so.
Grounds.
All right, I'm going to sustain the objection as to the form of the question. Rephrase, if you're able or desire.
Do you recall stating to whomever interviewed you from the DCI that the injuries were minor?
No.
Any reason why they would report that you said that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
Any reason why they would believe that that's what you said?
Objection.
Reported. Grounds.
He just answered. He just said it.
Grounds.
Calls for speculation on the part of the witness. Sustained.
Do you remember giving a prepared statement at 10:45 a.m. on 11/22 of 2021?
I do.
Do you recall the gist of what you prepared?
Can you be more specific?
Specifically, that you heard commotion, turned around to see a stroller or something fall over about 1.5 blocks behind us.
Yes.
You recall making that statement?
I do.
About how many people would you estimate was at the parade that day?
I would guess the thousands.
And you were able to see something fall over from 1.5 blocks away amidst thousands of people?
They dispersed. Yes. You could see it in the video. Everyone dispersed.
And you don't recall what that was that you saw?
No.
Any reason as to why you would name what you saw fall if you don't recall it?
I described it.
So you did see something fall?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained.
Do you recall what the item was?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered.
Asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Do you recall about what time you heard that shots were fired?
After watching the video, it's about 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes after the red SUV drove by us.
Do you recall the day of the incident? Not the video.
I remember it was after the vehicle drove by us.
Did you hear the shots?
No,
Do you remember who that was reported by?
I don't.
What did you do after you heard that shots were fired?
I looked for all of my children again and made the decision to take 2 of them into the antique store.
About how long did it take you to look for everybody before you went into the antique store?
Before or after the shots fired comment?
After the shots fired comment.
I think I did another lap around the car and then around our Blazers truck and then grabbed my kids and left.
Were you able to retrieve everyone at that time?
No.
You recall who was missing?
Riley was missing.
Did you leave the antique shop anytime after you had gathered your loved ones into the antique shop?
Yes.
About how long before you left the antique shop?
I don't remember.
Do you remember what you did when you left the antique shop?
I remember at some point seeing Jackson again on the ground.
Did you continue looking for the loved one that you missed before you gathered the other ones into the antique shop?
To the best of my recollection.
You don't recall for sure?
It was pretty chaotic. I was looking constantly for my missing daughter.
Did you end up finding her?
I did not find her, no.
And who is Ben White?
He was another coach with the Blazers and a friend.
Was he with you in the antique shop?
No.
So at some point you got separated. Would that be fair to say?
Separated from who?
Separated from Ben.
We were all separated as soon as the car drove by.
Any idea where he may have gone at that time?
No.
You remember talking to him after you had gathered everybody in the antique shop?
I remember at some point he reached out. I don't remember if it was text or phone call. Yes.
Did he say if he was injured in any way?
I don't remember.
Were you injured in any way?
No physical injuries.
Was it pretty windy that day, from your recollection?
From what I remember, there was a pretty good breeze, yes.
Pretty cold?
It was cool.
Pretty loud?
Normal parade sounds.
Would that be characterized as loud?
I guess it depends who's... That would be subjective to the person there.
Would you say it was loud?
Not overly loud.
So you yourself were able to hear pretty good over a parade with thousands of people?
I would say so, yes.
It wasn't loud enough that he wouldn't hear a car horn. So
you had one of your daughters, Maya, with
toss
you
that in the
day.
trash.
Would that be fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Was she injured in the event?
I threw her to the ground to get her out of the way, so she had some scrapes.
And would that result from you throwing her to the ground?
I don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't have been so loud that he couldn't possibly hear a car horn. Had to clear that up.
Did she say that she had been injured in any way?
No.
Do you recall if anyone else besides your children who were injured?
I remember lots of people who were injured.
Do you recall
I just answered that.
specifically? Do you remember who besides your children?
You want me to list all of the names that were injured?
Just rough estimate. That you recall.
That I recall, 10 to 15 people that I saw.
That you actually observed.
Yes.
Did you render any assistance to any of those people?
No.
Any reason why not?
My daughter was missing.
So it'd be fair to say at that moment your concern was your daughter that you didn't retrieve to go into the antique shop.
My concern was for everyone that was just struck by the vehicle.
Including your daughter that was missing, right?
I was concerned about her missing, yes.
Did you file any reports other than just interview?
What do you mean by
Like an
reports?
injury report of any kind?
Just what you had in front of you that you were reading from. That was my statement.
No. Did you file any injury reports or
Objection, that's a big question.
grounds?
Sustained as to the form of the question, sir. Please rephrase.
What I'm asking is, usually if there's an injury, you will file a complaint. To the best of your recollection, did you file any complaint from the incident?
I wouldn't consider it a complaint. I filed some paperwork saying that my children were injured, yes.
Do you recall if that was a complaint?
I don't know.
Was it a claim in any sort of way?
Yes.
Do you recall what the claim was?
It was with the Victim Assistance Program.
And what does that consist of? What are their resources in pursuant to the complaint that you filed, or claim that you filed, right?
Can you rephrase?
What would be their assistance and to help you with your claim that you were filing?
It was to help with any medical bills that arose out of this situation.
So it would be fair to say that you had a financial interest in this incident?
Objection.
Grounds.
Mischaracterizes the testimony.
Grounds. I believe it's relevant to the fact that bills were needed.
Man, you are playing with absolute fire. This dude, I love how this dude is answering these questions, by the way. I just want to say, because he is giving him nothing. He is making him work so hard to get, like, the little answers that he's looking, and then he's not giving them the answers he wants. Of course, like, none of these witnesses, these answers he wants, but like, I really I like that he's like not giving him any space whatsoever. Like, even the kind of simple questions, he's like, rephrase, I don't know what you mean, even though, like, you really can't tell what he's saying with a lot of this stuff. But yeah, these witnesses are doing incredible. Like, they're doing a really good job. Just like the band teacher, I believe it was, the marching band teacher, she did incredible. Like, poking everything that he tried to get at, she just said outright, yeah, like the car horn, I didn't hear a car horn. Even though he didn't even ask about it. Like, I love that stuff. It's great that these witnesses are even doing this stuff.
It's relevant.
But this dude is furious.
Overruled. He may answer.
Like he's playing
I was
with
looking
fire
to get
right
the
now.
medical bills covered, yes.
Rightfully so.
So would that be fair to say that you had a financial interest?
I would say sitting here today, I didn't care if it got approved or not. I was trying to get assistance for the medical bills.
So if it had gotten approved, would you have been able to do it yourself, or would you have seek to do it yourself?
Objections, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained, the question is vague.
Would you have seeking? Would you have paid the medical bills yourself,
Yes,
regardless to price?
I generally pay my bills.
In specifically that matter, not the rest of your bills, specifically that matter.
Objections, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Means
Move on,
nothing.
Mr. Brooks.
Let's get a 906-11.
Would you consider yourself an injured party in this case?
No,
Were you aware that you might be called to testify in this case?
eventually, yes.
Did you seek to testify in this case?
No,
May I ask why you agreed to testify if you didn't seek to?
Objections, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
You're subpoenaed. What do you?
Do you recall who informed you via subpoena to testify?
I received a subpoena from the DA's office, yes.
You did?
Yes,
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
no problem.
Are you aware of the plaintiff in this case?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you read a complaint pursuant to this case at any time?
Not that I remember, no.
Do you understand that for charges to be issued that it has to be a claim, therefore it has to be a plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Okay, so first of all, the
Grounds.
grounds are relevancy. It's
How's
not
that his
relevant.
concern?
That would be the
You
grounds.
also have to state the grounds.
Hold on. Let her get her position out, Mr. Brooks.
And it mischaracterizes the former testimony.
It does
Sustained
not.
as to both grounds. Under 906-11, move on, please.
They didn't even let him get started with that. I'm
So
so
you're not
happy
sure
about
if
it.
there's a plaintiff?
Objection,
Grounds.
relevance.
Sustained.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware who brought charges in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
Sustained.
If you're not sure of a complaint, how can you be sure of the charges in this case?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, under 906-11, please move on to a new topic, or your cross-examination will be shortened and cut off.
Your Honor, with all due respect, every question that I'm asking is relevant. It pertains to the plaintiff. in
It's
this matter.
definitely not.
That seems to be nowhere
Mr. Brooks, you're
found.
making a legal argument. We'll take that up outside the presence of the jury. Move on.
I believe the jury deserves to know who the plaintiff is in this matter. That's very relevant to the case. How can they rule on something when they don't.
Mr.
give
Brooks?
you
In the
no
cross-exam,
Please, move on.
he's trying to
Next question.
He's
or
trying to bark
we'll turn
at
it back
the-
over to the state for redirect.
barking back at the judge. Go ahead and end the cross-exam. Just based on that.
Can you recall if you saw the driver of the vehicle?
I don't remember seeing the driver.
Were you able to catch a glimpse of the license plates?
No.
Do you recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows?
I don't remember.
About how far from the vehicle were you when it passed you?
From the red SUV?
About how far from the vehicle were you when it passed you?
Can you tell me which vehicle you're talking about?
How far from the vehicle were you when it passed you? The vehicle that went around your Blazers vehicle.
The
I
red-
guess I would ask the defendant to be more clear as to what vehicle
This is
and
incredible.
when it went around, like at the beginning of the parade, before it struck his kids.
I was just clear. I said the vehicle that went around his Blazers.
Sustained as to the form
That could be any
of the
vehicle.
question.
I'm sure there were other vehicles
Please
there.
rephrase.
Yo, I love this dude is giving him a taste of his own medicine. This is the kind of stuff that he tries to pull. This is
The
incredible.
vehicle that you observed,
This is amazing, man.
or rather I'll say the vehicle that you observed approaching. About how far from it were you when it passed you?
Objection, just to clarify, is he saying the red SUV that this witness has described as that red SUV was approaching him, or some other vehicle?
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Well, I thought he was clear when he said that there
You
was
have to
only
be clear
one
with your
vehicle.
question, Mr. Brooks.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
You have to be clear with your question. It's
Well,
vague.
he
As
said
to
it
the
was
word
only one.
vehicle, you need to be clear which vehicle you're questioning the witness
The
about.
vehicle that was approaching, that he said
At
was
what
approaching.
point in
The
time, what
vehicle
color
that
is the
was
vehicle, something like that, sir.
The vehicle that you observed strike anyone. How close were you to that vehicle when it passed you?
The red SUV was about 10 feet probably from me.
And you didn't see the driver,
The red SUV.
correct?
Correct.
Did you see anyone else in the vehicle?
I did not look in the vehicle.
Would that be a no?
That's a no.
Thank you.
Would it be fair to say that 10 feet from a vehicle is pretty close?
Subjective.
What would you say? Would you say that's pretty close?
It depends what you're talking about.
Would you say that 10 feet is pretty close to a vehicle?
Depends. If they're driving, yes.
Would it be fair to say that that's close enough to be able to see who is driving?
It depends on many other factors.
And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not smiling because of what this dude has been through. I'm smiling because he is not giving Darrell anything. And that's the only thing that's like putting a smile on my face about this situation.
What would those factors be?
Eyesight, windows up, down. If they're looking at the vehicle.
I'm assuming it would be fair to say that you were definitely looking at the vehicle, correct? Would that be fair to say?
When?
When it was approaching and when it passed?
Yes.
Any reason why you would not try to identify the driver?
Because my children were about to be struck.
Any reason why you would not try to see if you can catch a license plate number?
Because people had just been hit.
So it would be fair to say, because of what you was observing, that would be the reason why you didn't try to get a description of the driver or the license plate.
My priority at the time was not identifying the driver.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Sir, you had indicated that you submitted a claim to the Victim Witness Program for medical bills. Is that correct?
Correct.
Were those the medical bills for Caden and Riley that were incurred as a result of the red SUV hitting both of those children?
Yes.
Objection. Relevant.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
And it was yes?
Reminder
Yes.
to wait till I.
Sure.
No
Thank you.
problem.
No further questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You may step down.